Hello there, sorry about that. That was a little bit loud, wasn't it? How are you doing? Good evening. Welcome to 8 till late here live on youtube.com/Wi-Fi sheep with me, Tom. And you'll have to excuse me. Basically, a little bit of a domestic disaster has occurred here at Wi-Fi Sheep Towers this evening. So I'm expecting a phone call any minute. Pleased to say nothing super serious, but I'll explain everything in a moment. But I almost didn't make it on air this evening. Also, and we're going to talk about this very shortly, we are running the new X1 rig. So you might remember, if you're regular to the channel, I did a product review of this a little while ago. This is the UE2 X1, which is an x86 PC single board computer. And during that review, I said that it was powerful enough to live stream and plug in cameras, etc. And that is exactly what the board is doing this evening. So you are watching a live stream through the X1. You'll notice there is no MacBook here. It's in the other room, which feels extremely counterintuitive, I have to say. So if this all goes horribly wrong, or the sound breaks up, or I crash off air for whatever reason, you'll know what happened and why. We'll say hello to Martin, who is in the chat, and the Imp67, and Gertmon, who joins us as well. Hello, good evening to you all. Before we get going, I think we should just have a quick look at this. Do you have a need for reliable and cost-effective web hosting for your blog, business or personal website? If so, then look no further than Cheap Host UK. Cheap Host UK's basic plan starts from only 58p per month. That's £6.99 a year. And if you're needing a little bit more, Cheap Host UK's premium packages start from £1.41 per month or £16.99 a year, complete with a free .co.uk domain. New customers can also take advantage of an extra 10% discount when purchasing any first-time hosting package or domain name from Cheap Host UK. Use discount code SHEEP, that's SHEEP, to get an extra 10% off. For reliable, cost-effective web hosting and domains, look no further than Cheap Host UK. Full details and an affiliate link are in the description to this video. Yep, Cheap Host UK sponsoring us. I'll start again. Cheap Host UK sponsoring us here on 8 till late live on youtube.com/Wi-Fi sheep. Details and links to that are in the description to this video, whether you're watching, whether you are watching live or pre-recorded. Can't speak tonight. You can get 10% off using discount code SHEEP. That's sheep, SHEEP. Right, yeah, so we are using this new rig, which I'm hoping is going to be a success. It's certainly looking all right. Basically, what I've got is I've now got a monitor here, which is actually one of these old Apple flat screen studio displays. It was the DVI types. It's not a retina display, and I've got quite a few of these monitors hanging around. And I've now got one, which used to sit at my desk anyway. And I got an adapter to go from HDMI to DVI. So I'm going HDMI out of the X2 to DVI straight into the monitor. And that's why I can now look over here, which I know is a bit weird. I'm not looking at you in the camera, but just by me is the monitor. And I've got the latest version of Windows 11 running, and I've got OBS running. And in that I've got chat boxes, and I've got some stats I can bring up live as well. So I have a rough idea, I stress a rough idea, of what is actually going on. Now, what is going on? Quite a bit actually. It's been 2 weeks since we were last together, and the last time you saw me I was up in Thirsk, North Yorkshire, and we did a little bit more with the Tiny Basic system. Don't plan on looking at that tonight, purely because we've got other things we need to talk about and a few things I want to play with separate to that. But yeah, as I said, I nearly didn't make it tonight, and that is because at about 5:30, nearly going on 6 o'clock, about 5:30 this evening, I got a phone call from Anna, my fiance, telling me that her car had broken down. Oh dear, I said. Have you called out recovery? No, she said. I went, well, why not? She said because she let her breakdown cover lapse and hadn't realised. Oh, I said. So she's in the town, but she's stuck out one of the retail parks. So I had to go out. It's a complicated story. She'd finished work. She went with one of her work colleagues to one of the retail parks, picked some bits up for Christmas and whatever, and they broke down. A kind soul out there helped them push the broken car onto the supermarket forecourt that's on this retail park, and that's where they were stuck. And that's not walking distance, technically, from home. Well, it is, but you'd be there a while. So I went and got them both, took them both back to their place of work so they could pick up Anna's friend's car. They then came back here, got some oil and stuff from the garage, went back to the car, and now it's completely knackered at the moment. It won't start, so something has gone horrendously wrong. Basically, my car is not powerful enough to pull her car. If she hasn't got an engine running, she may not have any braking, and certainly might not have any power steering, which makes the drive home difficult. And just to add to the misery of the situation, a football match, Shrewsbury Town were playing tonight, and Shrewsbury Town's ground is up by this retail park. So when I went up at 6 o'clock, it was sheer chaos. So I'm here live streaming to you now. She's gone with her friend to Telford to go, which is the next major town along. Her friend's from Telford, to go and get her father, or her friend's father, who has winches and ropes and things, to attempt to try and pull her car back here. So at some point during this live stream, I'm expecting to be interrupted by the arrival of a car, which may well need pushing onto the drive. And there may not be enough bodies to do it. So you may have to excuse me if I have to go and sort that out. Yeah, so that's fundamentally my day. How's yours been? I hope it's been better than mine. Anyway, yeah, so in the world of computing and channel updates, a few things to talk about. Mainly I want to discuss, a few things to discuss, but I want to discuss the Risk OS Christmas market, which happened last Saturday, which is why I wasn't live on air. And let me just roll the video for you. So I made this little video, literally only 3 minutes, but let me just roll it and I'll talk over the top. So this isn't actually the start of the video, but can we start that video from... Yes, we can. Let's just roll back to the beginning. Sorry. Okay. So this is my stand. This is last Saturday. N64 playing the NES version of Elite. So that's what I want to cover over Christmas. My Haiku rig, and there is the Zima board, which is that x86 machine that's not the X1. And there it is running Haiku, which is an OS I want us to look at a bit more in the near future. Micro 1 made an appearance running, I've got it here, so we'll look at it in a moment, and it's actually running Pi 5. I did upgrade it. And here is Project Rio, which you've seen on the end. This is opposite me. This is Risk OS Bits, one of the last Acorn traders, if you like. And here are systems that you could actually buy. Effectively, I believe, and Andy's not here to correct me on this, most of them are actually Raspberry Pi based. Not everything is, but most of them are. And these definitely are Pi. These are Pi Zero based. So these are kind of how small you can get a Acorn compatible Risk OS computer system. And you can see most of them are actually off the shelf boxes. Here are some he creates himself. These are laser cut. Look quite nice. That is the Miglin User Group stand, a charity stand next to it. And then you have this stuff, which was some MIDI. And didn't really know too much about this, but it's running a custom operating system, originally running on an Acorn Archimedes. There is the OS for creating music, but it was then ported onto PC, and I think it's even running on a Nintendo DS there. This is in the main hall. This is next door to me. So there's Amcog Games that we have covered, oh God, a good few years ago, about 5-6 years ago. One of the last game developers for RISC-OS, you could say. That's SoftRock Software, Vince Hudd, who also runs the RISCository website, or news site. This is his SoftRock site. Again, a sort of game publisher of sorts. This was RISC-OS Open Limited, the caretakers of the operating system. You could buy some mugs and a couple of SD cards, that sort of thing. And here's some stuff. Didn't know too much about this. And you've got organizer on the end. And you're back to my stand there. Now, you might be thinking, well, that all looks jolly nice. Did you have a nice time? And, well, I didn't have a terrible time, I'll admit that. But there was one slight problem, which brings on to a conversation and talking point this evening. Would you like to have a guess how many people, and I don't mean exhibitors, how many people actually visited the RISC-OS Christmas Market show? The one I've been plugging for 10 plus weeks now. It was free to attend. You didn't have to pay. I had to pay as an exhibitor, but visitors, general public, didn't actually have to pay. Would anybody in the chat, and by the way, the latency settings have been turned down, so hopefully, I've got this right, you should now be hearing me kind of more in real time. There shouldn't be that delay. So would anybody like to have a quick guess, and I'll give you a couple of seconds here, how many people do you reckon visited? And the way I'm talking and sort of setting up that question, I think you can guess the number is, well, yeah, just have a guess. How many do you reckon? Martin in there with 10. You see, I'm glad the latency issue is down. 10. Yeah. Anyone else want to join me on that, or we'll go with 10? 30. Here we are, the IMP67. It's going to be a low number. Going by what you're saying, 30, question mark. Right, last dash of anyone else quickly, and I will tell you how many. Anyone else want to? Okay, we'll go with 10 and 30 then. Right. Drum roll, please. 3. And you know what makes it worse? 2 of them, well, one of them I actually knew, was actually a Simon Pryatt, who we've, or Pryatt, sorry, that we've, I've spoken about before. He's the one who donated me the ZX81 that I've got to get round to fixing. Anyway, he was there. I don't know if he counts though, because he's technically a member of MUG, the Midland User Group, right? So does he count? I don't know. If we take him out of the equation, we're then down to 2. Of those 2, one of them was a chap that does a lot of RISC-OS journalism, so he's always at every show. So he's not technically an exhibitor. He's at every show. Is he a sort of unsolicited public? Possibly not. So if you take him out of the equation, then members of the public that I saw, but I didn't know who they were, 1. Yeah. And I wish I was making this up. So, fundamentally, the show was a flop. Let's be honest with you. And I'm also going to be honest and say, I wasn't surprised about that. I think the show had expanded. It was meant to be a Christmas market event. So, originally what was meant to happen was it was meant to be a sort of a club meet for the Midland User Group with some tables. You set some stuff up. We all have a bit of a casual chat as a club with members of the public able to visit if they want to. Because the London show, RISC-OS London cancelled, it kind of ballooned into a small show. Now, I was telling you, if you live more than an hour and a half away, it probably wasn't worth attending. Don't get me wrong, it had a nice feel to it. But if you were there trying to sell things or had paid a lot more than I had to be there, yeah, it's not good. And to be honest with you, with other shows like the London show cancelling because of venue problems, prices, numbers, etc., this thing still costs money to run. I have to be honest with you, it costs money to run. So, yeah, it had to be insured. You've got liability, you've got stewards, there's refreshments. A lot of people volunteered, obviously, but I think it says an awful lot about where we are in the state of the risk-averse acorn market, and it's one of the reasons that I'm kind of taking a back seat. So what I said at this show was this was very much my swan song event. Now, I'm not doing public events full stop. I'd like to go back to Cambridge, example. But risk-averse events simply, and I'm afraid to say this, and this is going to upset people, but it's simply not worth attending anymore. Without trying to sound too dramatic, I honestly feel that this show is an example. We are seeing the death of risk-averse as a going concern, because it's just not viable to run anymore. And you look at the demographic for it, and it's been like this before COVID, but COVID made it worse. You're looking at people that are getting older and older and older, right? And it's people initially that bought Acorn when it was still functioning in the 80s, and then have sort of stuck with their hardware and expected the cottage industry companies that picked up the collapse of Acorn to kind of service their needs ever since, and have refused to kind of move on or accept that the world moved on and we now use Mac, Linux, PC, etc., etc. And so you create this sort of strange microcosm market. The problem is in doing that is it creates a false economy for starters. And I found this when I first entered the market. I was trying to sell kit products. People were buying them, and I thought, oh God, there's a market here. And then you kind of realise that they're just buying them. People buying stuff, they don't need it. You've got the same group of pensioners just buying a new computer every 6 to 12 months just to keep this market alive. We also have to understand the fact that some people are dead, which is a reality. People have died in time. Old age, COVID, a mixture of both, you name it, it's happened. I think I've got a cold coming on. And also, when we had lockdowns and everything went online, those that were stubbornly with Acorn systems, or Pi-based Acorn systems, whatever, don't do anything like video calling, had to move on to new and other platforms to do things like Zoom, Skype, etc., etc. Realising probably then that these platforms are far more superior to the risk-averse scene, and basically haven't come back. So that, fundamentally is what's happening. So on my, let's see if I can break the video. Let's just go back to, if you excuse me. There we go. Okay, so on my stand you see here, this is why I'm demonstrating HiQ or HeyQ, because this is an alternative standalone own thing OS. It's not a port of any, well, it is a port, it's a port of BOS, but BOS is not Linux with a layer on the top. It is its own complete standalone operating system. It runs on x86, that's PC, Intel, AMD type boards, or PCs, or Macs with Intel chips in. And it's very, very good. It's still in beta, but that is a sort of an OS that you can actually do things with, like video calling and 3D graphics and video editing and web browser that YouTube works on, and all the rest of it, all the kind of things you'd expect to do as a daily driver that risk-averse simply doesn't do. I mean, the problem with risk-averse is even the Wi-Fi, there's no Wi-Fi for it. You can buy these really expensive third-party sort of hacks and add-ons, but really, really simple stuff that should be working by now isn't with this operating system. So, I've lost patience. And that's why, when I came here, I'm not actually running any native Acorn RISC machine. So, everything's either emulated, inspired by, and I just think we've seen the end. The Midland News Group have basically said they're only going to be possibly meeting in person once or twice more, from what I've gathered, and will carry on in a kind of online capacity just because everyone else in that group is getting old now. They're not going to be running this again because this answered the question, which is what is the state of the market? And the state of the market is abysmal. The Wakefield Risk-OS show that ran last year, which I don't bother attending anymore, apparently was quiet, extremely quiet. And I just think it's done. We've reached the end point. Those of you that are regular to the channel will know that I did the Risk-OS Direct series, and we used to have Risk-OS Wi-Fi Sheep Risk-OS. And that was my last-ditch attempt to polish a turd, effectively. It was my last-ditch attempt to say, look, if we don't try and do something now to incite growth, investment, and a user base, this thing dies. And I got my own way for a little while, but then there wasn't any more movement on it or any investment, or people just wanted to squirrel bits of it away and charge people the earth for it. And no one's going to buy. No one's going to buy or spend hundreds of pounds with you for something that you can do for free on a Linux OS. Or, you know, it's just ridiculous. And my problem is, and again, this is turning into a rant, I do apologise, but my problem is that I can't sit here on this channel, either live or in videos, and, you know, honestly look at you, you know, on camera and say, yeah, Risk-OS is amazing, it's great, blah, blah, blah. You know, or lie to people at shows when they ask me questions like, it's meant to be open source, can you compile it? No, you can't compile it because you have to buy a 30-year-old compiler for God knows how much money. And they just look at you and they laugh. And I'm sick of people laughing in my face. So that's kind of fundamentally the core reasons of why I've decided to call it a day. Because it's just not worth, Risk-OS is just not worth carrying on with. Now, saying that, vintage Acorn, vintage Risk-OS, which dates back to BBC Micro and those early Archimedes type machines up to Risk-OS 3.7, that's different. That's worth tinkering with, but at that point you're tinkering with retro computing. You're not expecting that to do anything, you know, you don't expect those things to have Wi-Fi, although some people have made hacks to do it. And it's slightly ironic that the A-Bug scene or user group, which are basically BBC Micro and early Archimedes enthusiasts, that retro scene for the 8-bit and the very early 26-bit stuff is actually very healthy. Lots of stuff going on. It's when you get past that to the kind of Risk-OS Raspberry Pi scene that things have died. It's really kind of ironic. So, I mean, I look forward to... I've got BBC Micro stuff to do. It still has its place. We've got a RISC PC I've got to try and maintain and repair. Which brings me on to another fact. When I was at the show, people kept bringing me RISC PCs going, oh, Tom, will you fix my RISC PC? No, I won't. Basically. I haven't got time. Well, I honestly haven't got time with work and stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So, let's get that video rolling again. Wrong, I've got 2 mice on here now. I can't cope. So yeah, what you're looking at in this very short video is, as far as I'm concerned, the end. And there's the future. And I know many of you have commented that were kind of with Risk-OS or joined it kind of off the back of what I showed you and told you to do, have actually now jumped ship to IQ. And I totally agree that it's probably the best place to go if you want to support an independent operating system that actually does stuff, and mostly 98% of it's completely free and legitimate. Then Haiku is definitely the place to go. It doesn't run on ARM boards, admittedly. You do need x86, but we've been playing with some fantastic x86 boards, including the X1, which not being sponsored anymore for that, but there you go. There's the box, and what you're watching is being powered by X1. Which I think is doing a very, very good job this evening, if I'm right. I'm not getting anyone saying that the stream's broken off or they can't hear me, so I think we're doing all right this evening. Let's just have a quick look at the chat. So, the Imp67, great to see you, by the way. Been a little while. It's a shame, but I agree with you, Tom. Even back in the 90s, it was very much a niche audience, even while Acorn was active. Well, it was, wasn't it? And the two biggest things for BBC Micro were, well, for Acorn, whereas the BBC Micro, which has just got, as the government contract got put into all the British schools, that's what I picked up originally. And I guess BBC Basic, which is still a big, BBC Basic is still part of RISC-OS even now. And when the Pi came out originally, between 2012, do you remember how bloated and slow the original Linux was for it? You try and click and drag a window, and it take a while to redraw the screen all around it. A bit like very early Windows, back in these sort of 286, 386 type days. But the point I was trying to make back then was that RISC-OS, when it came out on the original Pi, flew. Right. Now, the original Pi, we didn't have Wi-Fi, and we didn't have Bluetooth, and we were limited to 256, and I think we got up to 512 megabytes. Right, that was kind of the original spec, the original Pis. They ran at 700 megahertz, if you remember. Single core, no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi. Right, Linux was slow. RISC-OS flew, was really usable, right? That was the catalyst of a point at which you could have had a brand new market for RISC-OS on cheap, very cheap, accessible hardware. And they blew it. They blew it spectacularly. I've done my best, and I've done my part to try and regurgitate some interest, and mainly just repackaging what was already there, which just, there was no coherent marketing strategy of what to do with RISC-OS. And you'll notice there's loads of different people just have all their different little ideas of how they're going to single-handedly fix it, but there's no coherent strategy of what to do. But basically, since Pi 1, we've had 2, 3, 4, now 5, and the Pis have got faster, multi-core operating. RISC-OS, by the way, can only use one core. Even though it did run on Pi 4 and 400, it didn't use all the cores. So it kind of sat at, oh, look how great it is on the Pi 1 or Pi 0 original. Yes, it is, but does it do anything else? No. No Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth. There is a web browser knocking around, but it's not amazing, and you've got to pay for it. And it doesn't do YouTube. So what's the point? And yeah, it just, there was an opportunity to really, they could have gone with something when it was, RISC-OS was running rings on the Pi around the official Raspbian at the time. And it just, collapsed. And we're now in this sort of situation now, which you could see the writing on the wall some years ago, and COVID just kind of accelerated it. So I think us as a community, we need to move on, basically. So we will absolutely be looking at vintage and retro RISC-OS, which we're actually going to do in a few minutes. I'm going to show you what I've been working on. But you're not going to run it as a daily driver. It doesn't even work on the Pi 5, and it will never work on the Pi 5. Basically, it's not going to work on the Pi 5 unless you do what I'm about to show you, which does make it work. But we're in the kind of road of emulation at that point, so it changes the game a little bit. This is our quick look in the chat then. So Martin's saying doing very well is the X1. It is doing very well, isn't it? I'm just looking at it down here. I need a camera to. Oh, hang on. I think I hear something. It might be a car returning. I need to go and get a cup of tea. Can everyone give me a break for a few moments? We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I might need to assist putting a car on the drive. We'll catch up at the end of this conversation and we'll carry on from there. I will be right back. We're back, right. I still haven't got my cup of tea. Anna is, that's my fiance, is back. The car is on the drive. And there's just this smell of burning brake discs because how it's been dragged home. So, oh God, that's going to be an interesting one for tomorrow morning. Between you and me, I am relieved that she's actually back, obviously. Yeah, there wasn't an awful lot I could do. Because my car's 1.2 litre is not, probably isn't powerful enough to pull a how many ton car. So yeah, oh dear, oh well. That's that sorted. She's kindly said she'll make me a cup of tea and bring it up, so we'll have a cup of tea shortly. So I don't have to wait any longer. We can get back on the live stream this evening, and we'll say good evening once again to Gertmon, who is back with us. Right, so. Let me just think. I think that's everything I want to talk about at RISC-OS for the moment. So what I want to show you now is, let's cut to camera 2. There we are. And it goes a bit soft and out of focus in the corners, unfortunately. But here we are. So this is Micro 1. Now, you have to be with this channel for a very, very long time to remember when I did the Micro 1 kits. Originally, I made a kit computer. This is before the 400 came out, and it was the idea of an all-in-one BBC Micro type machine. And I originally made some out of plastic, and I sold them under the banner of Ident Computer. This is before I did Wi-Fi Sheet. Okay, so this is 2014 to 2016. But one of the last things I did was I made a cardboard printout version, which you could actually download on Patreon if you back the correct. It was the Micro 1. You have to search Micro 1 kit on the Wi-Fi Sheet Patreon, patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheet, which reminds me, I need to say hello to members in a moment. But this is the cardboard computer that was actually made in a video, and I'm just wondering, can I bring that video up? What do you reckon? Bet you I can't. Let's just have a look. By the way, I've now got this really clicky mechanical keyboard attached to the X1, so that's why you can hear typing. So it's Micro 1.5. Can I bring that video up? Yes, I can. Okay, and share, copy, and let's put that in the chat. There we go. Right, that video was me building the Micro 1. And you can still download it, and you print it out and you build it at home, basically. And it's actually cardboard or foam board. Anyway, I muted last time, was it time before, that with Pi 5 coming out, I might actually put Raspberry Pi 5 into this Micro 1, which is exactly what I did. So it is literally cardboard and foam board inside. A couple of modifications, and here is a Raspberry Pi 5 with the separate fan installation. And we are actually plugged in, we are cabled in, and we can power up. So let's just do that right now. And hopefully oh yep, there we go. I have to admit, all this is working very well at the moment. I don't want to jinx it, but excellent. There we are. Did you see how quickly the Pi 5, just on the stock, what is now Raspberry Pi OS, actually boots? Yep, okay, go away. And yeah, here is the desktop. And I installed Arduino IDE, as you do. And the web browser is, what's the web browser on this? It's Chromium, I think. Let's just check. Yep, Chromium. And one thing I did actually add was, you know, I mentioned that you can't run RISC-OS on the Pi 5. Well, you can't natively. What you can do is you can actually run RPC EMU if you compile it. Now, I was going to do a whole separate video on this. I just haven't had time to do it, unfortunately. So I've compiled this free from mutins.net. Let's just go to the website. Yeah, Martine.net. I hate everything. Talking is ugh. Anyway. And let's just go. There we go. So you've got pre-compiled versions of Windows. I've mentioned this before. There is a version of RiskOS Direct. Let's go to downloads. Well, there was Easy Start bundles at one point. Yeah, there we go. So there was a RiskOS Direct and there was a RiskOS 3.71. And basically, I went for the 3.71, which you have to compile. So it's the interpreter version, so we just hit to execute. And for an emulated ARM, or strong ARM, running on a much more modern ARM, it actually runs very well. There we go, job done. The reason for using the vintage 3.7 is that it runs all the Archimedes stuff. And all the good games came out for Archimedes, which was the problem. Well, not the problem, the issue. Also, the mouse is, you may notice at best, is a little bit erratic. That is a slight bug with running it with this build of Raspberry Pi OS, because they changed how the desktop manager or the GUI manager worked. But if we go mouse follow host, that fixes that, as long as you do not go full screen. If you go full screen, you break things. I will show you that in a minute when I want to finally break it. I have had a chat with Peter Hawkins, who maintains this now. It's amazing, there's people I can just ring up on the phone and go, if they know who I am and I know who they are, and I can say, this broke. Anyway, nice thing is that if you use the Easy Start bundle and you just literally drag the files over, you can actually have all this stuff already pre-installed. So things like Starfighter 3000. You might hear some sound there. Mouse control. Yeah, not quite working. Not a bad game, actually. It has actually been ported to 32 bits, so it would run natively on RiskOS. But this is a 26-bit version, which runs all right. Let's quit that. Quit. Yeah, you know, so things. I mean, it's all right. It works. And you know, this is pretty much the future of the OS now. Is running in emulation form within extremely fast Raspberry Pi environments. So that's pretty much what I had running. Now I'll show you what breaks. So first of all, you can actually change your resolution up. So we could actually go to where are we? 720p. So we'll actually support things like widescreen resolution. Now, if I go full screen, this is where things will break. So full screen mode, okay. You might think that looks great, and it does look great. But notice the cursor, it's stuck in the top corner. Now stuck down there, stuck over there, stuck there. Doesn't work. Can't exit out of window mode because I don't have an N key on this particular keyboard. Another slight issue is this OS or this emulator assumes you're running with larger keyboards. And you can see here the stock one used on this micro one is not extended and doesn't have an end. So all you can do is go Alt F4 and exit out the emulator completely, that does clear it. You'd have to reinstall and come back in again. So yeah, I mean, if you're desperate to use RISC-OS applications, and this kind of is my case in point, is most of the stuff written or running for RISC-OS, bar a couple of applications, the stuff you're going to want to play with or use, you could run in an emulator. And the OS is now so far behind the keel of Raspberry Pi or Raspbian OS that you could just run it in Raspberry Pi or Raspbian OS. Or you could compile it for any other operating system if you wanted. Not much else to show you on here. I did install the Arduino IDE, actually, which is running as a Java application, which might explain why it's slow, actually. But even with this on Pi 5, it's got some grunt to it, so it can run slow, inefficient applications relatively well. What else did we put on there? Programming. We did put Genie IDE, which is good. And again, you know, it's good speed on this, which is just a stock Raspberry Pi OS. I've just changed the background on, added a couple of things, but that's all I've done. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. Doesn't really solve the issues that I mentioned when Pi 5 originally came out. In related to kind of why, at this point, why would you? When I mean, for example, I wouldn't live stream on a Pi 5, but I am live streaming on an X1. So that was my kind of case in point. That said, having the Pi 5 in this kind of form factor actually works quite well, and I reckon there could be quite a few very good retro computing emulation things like RetroPie, or I do have plans on I'd like to try and use, which would be more suited for this kind of wedge all-in-one form factor. And I just need to see if that works. I bought a new micro SD card for what I want to do, because I keep buying new micro SD cards to do this project year after year after year. And then what happens is I use the SD card for something else. So we never actually get around to using the SD card for the intended project. And it's been years of waiting now. So that kind of brings me on to a bit of a theme, really, for... that's the wrong mouse. See, I keep touching the wrong mouse. Like, going to change to PC? Nope. That's the right mouse. That brings me on to a theme, really, for what we're going to be trying to do in the new year here on the channel. Is I want to go back to trying to do some of the things that I want to do. As many of you will know, my circumstances have changed a little bit over the course of the summer, as I now work, as well as do this job. So basically, my financial situation is improving greatly, but my time is not really there anymore to be able to do the things I wanted to do, or things I had to do, etc. So next year I want to really focus on trying to bring you some of these like interesting home projects and repair videos and that sort of thing that I want to do, but we might be on a slightly more erratic schedule, which is why it's really important to have things like 8 till 8, these sort of live broadcasts, which did remind me actually, and I'm just thinking, can I actually bring that up now? You may have seen, hang on, I've just remembered something. So you may have seen I've actually done a post on the planned and proposed live stream schedules for Wi-Fi Sheep over the Christmas and New Year period, and I haven't loaded it into this version of OBS. So basically I've had to completely rebuild the entire live broadcast platform, including all the graphics and everything had to be sort of put back into the system, and I forgot to put that one in, so that was my schedule, and I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, can I get that card up? Hang on. So I'm just having a hang on. Yes, I can now. Hang on. Oh, hang on. Right, you go there. I'm gonna break this. I'm just thinking I'm gonna break OBS if I do this live. Oh, should we try this? Can you everyone just bear with me because I'm about to break OBS. This is like the other month when I started changing camera lenses live on air. Oh right. We'll come to Patreon in a minute because I haven't done that yet. Right. Okay. Ta-da! Hey, I did it and I didn't break anything. There we are. Right. That's what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so that is the calendar, if you like, for the live stream or proposed live streams over the Christmas period. So we're here today on Saturday 16th, and we've been on since 8. Sunday the 24th of December, that's Christmas Eve, I will be on from the 21:30 GMT, and I'm going to take you through to midnight. That's the plan. Not sure what we're doing, but the plan is to be with you live through until Christmas Day itself. Then we'll do the same thing again a week later on Saturday 6th of January. And that'll be from, again, that'll be an sorry, I beg your pardon, where are we? 31st. Let's do the 31st of December, first of all. 2100 hours, or 21:30 hours again. New Year's Eve live. So this is a week later from Christmas Eve. That's the traditional one that I generally tended to do the past few years. But that now forms part of many more live streams over the Christmas period. So that one I'm planning we may do kind of playing bad retro games, something like that. I'll make a mind up at the time. And then we're back with a more standard 8 till 8 from Saturday the 6th of January, again from 2000 hours GMT. Dates and content are subject to change, depending on any other major disasters occurring or me being busy or, I don't know, breaking my leg or something. I don't intend to break my leg, but you never know these days. So those are your dates, and I hope you will be able to join me over the festive period. We need to just say hello to members. There you all are. Thank you so much for everyone who continues to support me over on Patreon or on YouTube channel members. Patreon, it's patreon.com/Wi-Fi sheep. That's patreon.com/Wi-Fi sheep. And YouTube channel members, you know the score by now. You can start with base support from 99 pence all the way up to 2.99 for mid support, and you can have access to features such as the Patreon or members only video playlist. And I also do first look videos on most new content before it goes live to the public on the channel. Prices, by the way, will be adjusted to your local currencies. If they're not, they will appear in US dollars. Here they are in British pound sterling, as we are a UK-based channel. Right. That was exciting. I'm still waiting for my cup of tea. Poor Anna. What a day. Seriously. To do a full day at work, then you nip out just to go to the shops with your friend, and then your car breaks down and you're stranded. It's just like, oh dear. Anyway, come on. Maybe we'll get a Pi 500. Yeah, makes sense, wouldn't it? Honestly, thinking about recipes, I don't know where we kind of go now. So you've got Pi 5, and everyone goes, oh yeah, great, yeah. And so we're going to have Pi 6, Pi 7. I mean, you know. I hear all sorts of rumours, and some things clearly haven't happened. Or they may have happened, they've been mothballed. The problem Raspberry Pi I've got is do enough people care anymore? I've noticed actually that the Pi 5 announcement videos don't attract as many viewers as the Pi 4 and the 3 and etc do anymore. So I've also heard from people I've spoken to, which by the way, something else I need to talk about is the HarperNet former Stafford Raspberry Pi Jam meets. We'll come to that in a moment, but we ran one the other day, and one of the club members from the former Stafford group was there, and basically said, "Yeah, I just don't care anymore. I'm quite happy with the 3s or the 4 I've got, and I don't need to do anything else." So, excuse me, I desperately need a cup of tea. My voice is going. Yeah, and I've heard that more than once now. But people are like, "Oh yeah," but they're not sort of rushing out and buying the latest model every time, because people have sort of lost interest or moved on to other things when the Raspberry Pi Foundation, or whatever they call themselves now, decided not to supply the maker community anymore and just went down the industrial road. And you know how annoyed I was, and you know how annoyed many other people were, and kind of that's why there's a whole playlist here on this channel all about looking at Raspberry Pi alternatives. So yeah, that's that. Is that a cup of tea? Oh, thank you so much. I've just been telling everybody about your. Oh, you're right. I've just been telling about your wonderful adventures.
Yes.
Has it stopped cooking itself on the drive now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many hours have you been up?
I was up at 5 o'clock this morning.
5 this morning. It's not funny. I know it's not funny, but. And how long are we allowed to be here doing this? Because
I've got tomorrow off, so.
Oh right. So you're not gonna.
No.
Because you set the curfew.
Yeah. No. Well, I've got tomorrow off, so you're fine.
Do you want to say goodnight to everyone?
Yeah. Night, everyone.
It's that camera there.
Right, that camera there.
You're gonna have Hello. There we are.
Hello.
Hi, Mrs. Tom. Not Mrs. Tom. That's Anna.
I'm just the tea delivery service.
You're much more than that. Anyway, yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
It's okay.
All right. Oh, bless her. Right. What was I doing? Oh, I was moaning about things. That was right. Yeah. Dave Paul Jones. Hello. Welcome to you. Hello. My Pi sits in a drawer unused as of yet. Yeah. You know what? Basically, we've done this before. Right? I have just got. Hang on, camera. There we are. So many boards just sitting around now. Basically, you know how I usually have like a couple of hours decoration. These have all got boards in. They're not just empty boxes. I think most of them have actually got the boards in. Basically, I have those as decorations normally, but because I did a sponsor video for Banana Pi recently, I had to sort of take the rival products off the shelves. Because obviously it was a paid sponsorship deal. Which, bear in mind, we'll talk about Banana Pi. Can you see that? A bit washed out. There you go. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so basically I had to take all the Pi products off the shelves, and they were sort of stacked up. And I just looked at them. I was like, I've just got so many damn boards. I've got even more now because I'm now running the HarperNet group, which is a replacement for Stafford Raspberry Pi Jam, and I'm running that at work at Harper Adams University. I've been given most of what was left of Stafford's Raspberry Pi assets, which is why you saw that Pi Top Seed. If you watched the review video for the Banana Pi M4 Berry, which is what this is, you'll have seen I put it inside a Pi Top Seed. The reason I had those Pi Top Seeds is they were donated to me by Stafford Raspberry Pi Jam. And as a result, I've now got even more Raspberry Pis. So I don't know how many I've got. 20? 25? Something like that. it's a good problem to have, but oh, that's so much better. Yeah. Dave Paul Jones saying my time is spent with ESP32, and I hate as of yet. Yeah, ESP32. I think I've packed mine up actually. We've been using them. We've been using the ESP32s I've got at work. So yeah, yeah, I've been doing a lot with microcontrollers, both for work because I use them, and also, as you know, Tiny Basic Computers is microcontroller based. So I've been doing more with that. I mean, I guess because I run the YouTube channel, and you kind of we're going to look at Pi 5, we're going to look at this, we're going to look at that. I guess I kind of force it through, but yeah, I mean, that's what I've done with mine, which isn't bad. And maybe we can do something fun with that. A couple of other project ideas, which I need to do. Anyway, let's shut this down now. There we go. Okay. Because I want to have another little play with the, just turn the power off on that, with the Raspberry Pi M4 Berry. Also, I hate the fact you still need to use damn Raspberry Pi adapters. It's just it fits, but it's just the two micro USB ports. Ugh. Anyway, I can go in there. Yeah, hide your adapter inside. Okay, let's take that out of the way. And Banana Pi M4 Berry. Now, you've probably seen I already done a review video on this, so this is going to be a little more haphazard. And first of all, I like the fact full size HDMI. So put the mouse in. USB-C power supply. Like so, and keyboard. Keyboard, there we go. And in the chat, Dave Paul Jones said, hey, just thought you could use Web API on ESP32 and run custom basic in the browser to simulate running a basic program. Then there's no need for display, etc. Very interesting you mentioned that, actually. Not, well, kind of related, but one of the things I've been doing at work is, you may remember the video I did on the, why am I looking at the screen? I need to be looking at the camera. There we are. I'm still getting used to this setup, which, by the way, hasn't mounted or caught fire yet, so I think we're doing quite well this evening. Where were we? Oh, yeah. So you may have seen I had the Atlas robots, which I've still got one of the boards from Calypso that was ripped apart by work, and I rescued the board and got it here. Calypso was the Atlas robot that was here over the summer, and you may remember I tried to take photographs in the chicken coop, and the chickens were having none of it. Anyway, we're working on adding ESP32 and support to this robot buggy. And one of the things I actually did was experiment with the web APIs for ESP32. The idea being that you could actually have your phone, just for like, this is an Apple product, so it'd be like Safari or Chromium, whatever browser you're using. And you could then actually just log in via a Wi-Fi hotspot. ESP32 can generate its own Wi-Fi just on chip. So you can generate a Wi-Fi hotspot. So you don't need standing internet infrastructure. It's not joining a network, it is the network. And basically you can then join with your phone, and your phone will then go on your web browser. You type in a custom IP address, and you bring up a web page which is actually being generated on the ESP32 using the Web API protocol. And then in this case you could actually turn on and off an LED This is just in the test rig we've got at the moment. But basically it means you can pull digital pins high-low and you can read analog pins, which means you could actually control sensors and driving elements and motors and things of the Atlas robots remotely. So that's really, really cool. And one of the things I've been doing with work, all off-the-shelf code at the moment, all using the Arduino IDE. So we got them loaded at work on the lab PCs. So it's really interesting you bringing that up, Dave. And yeah, I'm actually looking at the serial protocol, mainly for Atlas, but obviously the knock-on implications. And your idea is exactly what I thought about doing for Tiny Basic. Is either you can run the Tiny Basic interpreter on ESP32. It misses a few things. There's no EEPROM, the sound doesn't work, but you can have. I think the version for Project Rio, or technically it's still called Tiny Basic 4-color, but it's Project Rio more or less. Actually can run for full 32k of RAM instead of the 6k that we run on Project Rio. So it swings and roundabouts, but you don't have SD card support. Doesn't work. Off the top of my head, I don't think it works. You don't have an EEPROM, and the sound definitely doesn't work. So swings and roundabouts. But it's not to say you couldn't have. I've seen like these tiny ESP modules, which are like not like full fat ESP32s, but they're like half-sized tiny things, just with the ESP32 chip on, and they've still got the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antenna. So the idea is that maybe you could have one of those running, and you just tap the UART RS232 channel, and then you could actually still run your Tiny Basic on the Arduino platform, and then you just tap out on the serial line to ESP32, which you can then broadcast that via Wi-Fi. And you could then have direct interpreter control through your web browser on a phone to your home build Project Rio system. It's definitely something I've been looking at and thinking about doing. And David there saying, have a look at this link. Yeah, you might have a problem sending me that link because I have to. Oh dear. Can you send me that on Twitter or Instagram or anything? Not this. I will definitely have a look at that link. You can't post me links, unfortunately, because otherwise I get spammed to hell and back. Yeah, David, I will look at that link if you can. If you don't mind, can you ping it me on? Just search at Wi-Fi Sheep if you're on Twitter or as X as it is now. Or Instagram, or you can send it me on Facebook or whatever. Or alternatively, you can email me if you want. info@wifisheep.co.uk. If you want to email it to me, I'll definitely have a look. If you email it me, I haven't got the email accounts on this X1 machine, and my phone doesn't tap that account, so I'd have to run in the other room and get the MacBook. If you send it on social media, I can pick it up on the phone. So if you want to, up to you. Yeah, fortunately links don't work. What's that? So it's have a look at the link. It's ESP32 running my firmware. Yeah, you see, this is the problem, isn't it? It's I have to turn strict things on to stop spam and hate and everything, especially when I do a review of a product or take issue with Raspberry Pi again. I just get bombarded with all sorts, so that's why I have to do it. Unfortunately, it's when people like yourself try to send me things that are of general interest, and you get caught in the traps, unfortunately. Yeah, I could turn it all off, but the problem with doing that is we'll just get spammed. That's the issue. But if you want to ping that to me, as I said, I will definitely have a look. I'm just saying no. Anyway, if you want to, up to you. But I would be interested in taking a look. Right, so banana pie. What were we doing this evening? Right. So there is the M4 berry. Yeah, I mean, in the review video for it, I said it was very much like a drop-in, almost a drop-in replacement for the Pi 3. It's a bit faster than the 3, so it's more like, I'm not quite sure it's quite a Pi 4, but it's not bad. Let me show you the boot time on it anyway, see what you think. Where are we? Okay. Right, so this is cold boot. See what you reckon. It's not as fast as the 5 we've just looked at. It's not terrible. So this is at the moment just off micro SD card. And it running about, this is the Banana Pi's Ubuntu. Is it Ubuntu or Debian? I can't remember what they put. I think it's Ubuntu. It's definitely XFCE. I thought it kernel panic then. That got me worried. I mean, that's not a terrible boot time, is it? It's not as fast as what we saw on the 5, but it isn't terrible. It might throw a little error in a minute. Because I've been having this where an unexpected error at a turn, but it's not the only. There it is. Now, interestingly, the orange Pi behind me. So, oh, hang on, wrong mouse again. So the orange Pi that runs this display, yeah, and it also runs XFCE, and that has been doing exactly the same thing, right? Different operating system, different company. This is Orange Pi 800, right? You're looking here at Banana Pi M4 Berry, and it does exactly the same error. And it's something to do with XFCE and Ubuntu. And don't know what it is. Very annoying. You click, cancel, and it goes away. And the other machines are doing it as well. Don't know. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up again, well, 2 reasons. Banana Pi have asked me, would I like to review their Pi Zero form factor M4 Berry? Yeah, you hear me. So basically, it's that board, right, with the same functions, same processor, the same power, the same speed. But they've done one, and I can just go and grab it. They've done one in a Raspberry Pi Zero form factor, and it is actually a Zero form factor. And it's like, wow, okay. And that includes the eMMC memory, 8 gig of eMMC on Zero. So they're actually sending me another board out, which we'll do another sponsored review of. This today is a little bit, sort of this evening rather, is a little bit sort of, it's not officially sponsored, it's just that I've still got the products lying around, so we can have a dabble with them slightly more informally. But the reason I wanted to show you this again was I haven't actually tried to load the OS onto the let's go back to the desktop. I haven't loaded the operating system onto the eMMC flash, which is kind of what I'm thinking I might try and do live so you can watch me break it. Because I didn't do it in the video. I talked about it and I went, oh wow, 8 gigs eMMC flash, so it means you don't need the SD card. And I didn't actually get around to doing it in this video. I have done it on the other Banana Pi product. I'm going to go and grab the other one quick. It's up here, hides on the shelf. Wrong mouse again. I'm never going to get, no, right mouse. Right, this is the other one, which they sent me, oh gosh, a while ago. This is when you still couldn't get hold of Raspberry Pi stock. Yeah, so these were valid. So that was their, which one was that? That was the P20. Right. So it was a Zero, but it was kind of like an expanded form factor Zero with, you know, slightly more ports and things on it. Very, very good. And they actually added the power over Ethernet module as well. But this one actually boots, and it has its operating system's actually flashed onto the eMMC. So I managed it on that one. I've not done it on this one yet, so I think it might be the same process, and I'm willing to give it a go. What I think we will need to do is let's cable in some internet, and the reason for that is that they don't embed aerials onto these boards, so it's only just picking up my Wi-Fi from literally the metal socket where you're meant to put a Wi-Fi aerial. So the signal is very weak. So it might just be easier if we just cable into the modem downstairs, which is why I kind of like having Cat5 Ethernet cable running around the house. It's what my father did originally. And when we first got broadband, we didn't have Wi-Fi, which I know sounds strange now, but at the time, we had hardwire cat network running around the house, and bits of it, including the stuff into this room, are still in situ and still work. So, right, that's cabled and we're in. Okay. Now, if I can remember how to do this, you've sent it on X. Okay. I shall see if I can pick that up. This is Dave Paul Jones's link. One person you may know. Let's have a look. We shall accept. Look, I'm just literally having a look on the phone at something. Just a moment. Just a moment. We'll be back. Oh, okay. Oh, my phone screen is really grubby and disgusting. This is going to be a bit icky, but right. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. And that is... I don't think I... Would I log in if I did that? I assume I'm all right to show this. Oh, gosh. Wow. I am okay. Shit, that's good. Well, it's a bit late now. I have shown it, but Impulse Relay 1, Impulse Relay 2. So, am I looking at some? Is this a site generated on an ESP32 then? It does look very similar to what I had. That's really cool. Tokens. Settings. Running off, that's running fast. So basically, just to explain, what we're looking at here on my phone is actually a website, a control API interface. It's effectively HTML, CSS, running in a web browser. And we are actually connected to an ESP32 microcontroller that's running this site. So, I mean, what happens if I do that? I'm assuming that does something your end. Is that correct then? The impulse relay. So I'm assuming you've got this. Probably should stop pressing that. I'm assuming this is now connected via the physical GPIO pins or input-output pins. So I put that down of ESP32. I haven't got one to hand. Honest to God, I've not got one to hand. I've been using them at work. Just see if I've got one in this box. I might have. There we go. I have an ESP32. There we are. Got some spares. So, yeah. So that's an ESP32. And that's powerful enough to run a website interface. So this is exactly the kind of thing I was saying is what we've done Mine isn't actually. It's here, but it's not running at the minute, so I can't show you it. But it's the kind of thing we're trying to do at work at the moment. So that's actually really, really cool. I like what you've done with this. That's really, really cool. Well, thank you for taking the time to share that with us, David. That's really cool. I like that. I don't know what I've done. Am I meant to unpress? I hope I haven't messed anything up for you. I'll just log out. There we are. That's really cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, ESP32s, brilliant things. Absolutely brilliant. So that there is the Bluetooth Wi-Fi aerial. This piece that sticks out here. That's the chip itself. And then this is the interface board, which is very similar to Arduino in the way it works. And you can actually code them with the Arduino IDE as if it was an Arduino. But these things are mostly 32-bit dual-core processor. They are considerably more powerful. As I said, I do have a version of my Tiny Basic that runs. There's a version of Tiny Basic Color that runs from FabGL. Is it FabGL? I think it is. Who does some amazing ESP32 libraries, and including a serial. Hang on, words will come back to me in a minute. Terminal does a brilliant VGA terminal. And definitely want to be playing with ESP32s a bit more, especially now I have to do it for work. So it's a good excuse. Let's just pop that over there out of the way. But yeah, cheers for showing that, Dave. Really appreciate it. I'm just thinking if I can. I really need to get X logged in on this PC so I can just dump stuff across. Tell us if it's all right to share that link if you want it on the chat, and I'll put it. Well, you were about to put it in the chat, so I'm assuming you're all right if I was to repost that. If that's okay, do let us know, and I will repost that on your behalf into the chat, so other people can go and have a play. Yeah, it's just really cool. Anyway, right, where are we? Yes, we're doing a thing. That's as technical as we're going to get this evening. Oh, no problem. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. Just confirm again, Dave. You're happy for me to put that back in the chat? I will do that. But yeah. Right. I can't handle two mouses at once. There's too much going on. Okay. Yeah. So what we're going to try and do now. Now we've cabled in. Let's just bring up applications. I had to add the web browser. There wasn't a web browser on the Banana Pi OS build, and that's a dog. And that's Instagram. So this is Chromium web browser. I mean, it's all right. It's not the fastest thing in the world. It's bored, but it's okay. Anyway, yeah. So what we need to do is we need to go Banana Pi M4 Berry and Wiki. And Linux. It is Ubuntu, I thought it was. And we need to download again the image that I'm actually running. So it's this one here, which is Jammy XFCE. And we need to download the Google Drive link. So we're going to download the image onto the Banana Pi itself. And then we'll use that image to flash to the, or attempt to make a transfer basically, to the eMMC space. And that's how you install. It's a bit of a clunky method. I wish they'd put an installer in. It would just do this for you. Because this is a little bit clunky. I'm assuming this will work the same as the last time. Oh, I'm downloading it twice now. Didn't want to do that. Come on. Yeah, that's going to be a few minutes. In the meantime, if we go to you get some strange stuff, don't you? Not my searches, I can assure you. There we go. YouTube.com/Wi-Fi ship. There's a little bit of a delay on it. As I said, these boards, I mean, we always test this stuff generally as trying to run it as desktop daily drivers. I mean, you can. It's slow. It's not the fastest. But then the M4 spec isn't the fastest board even Banana Pi make. I imagine this sort of speed and capacity in a zero form factor will be extremely useful. This is still an upgrade on Pi 3. And it almost fits in Pi 3. So, oh, there we are. I'm live. What you're watching is there. The reason I'm here is I just want to search out the previous Banana Pi product. Watch as I now misspell banana. Quick search. What comes up? Okay, yeah, it's this video I want, which is when it's a separate video, and in this one is how I actually flashed it originally, the Zero I originally had, the P2 Zero rather, how we actually flashed it over. Now this will probably give me an ad. It will. Ads are good, ads give me money, but for now, we just want the information box. And I thought, unless I'm mistaken, I honestly thought I put the what you had to do in the I thought I put something you have to copy and paste in the. That's annoying. I'm annoyed. Ah, right. Okay. Fine. Banana Pi. EMMC. Basically, there's this long-winded thing that you have to put in. Have a flash. Burn next to EMMC. This is it, I think. Right, there's no guarantees this will work, but we can give it a shot, see what happens. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Oh, wait, I could brick the whole thing, but yeah. Let's do it anyway. Right. So. Terminal emulator. There we go. Sudo f disk. We need to identify where the space is. Slash. Is that L or /1? /1. Ooh, password. I think it's just Banana Pi, isn't it? Maybe it's -I. This did used to work. Make sure I'm not doing that wrong. Oh, is it L? Oh, that might explain it. Right. It was an L, not a 1 or an I. Yeah, alpha list, obviously. Okay. Right, what am I looking for? Loop, loop, loop. It's... What am I looking for? MMC, there we go. MMC 7.28 gig. So that's what we need. Wonderful. And that needs a little bit of modification. Yep. Okay. So, file manager, because we need to extract or download. So we go to downloads. Which one's actually downloaded? I've downloaded 2 by accident. So. Probably extract that one. Extract files. I've already done that bit. Hang on. I might be getting ahead of myself. So if I've extracted that, that would be there. Oh. Right. Okay. It's already there. So we didn't need to do the download. Anyway, right. It's there. Excellent. Okay. Can I do that open terminal here? I can. Right. So keep that window open. By the way, people that use Linux and Unix type systems all the time are probably screaming at me now, as this is an extremely clumsy way of doing it, and I appreciate that, but just bear with me. Welcome to computing for the rest of us. So that's the command you need. So we're going to copy, and we need to do a few modifications. So we've got just a basic text editor on here. Mouse pad. Right. Okay. That's okay. So what we need to do is, if I've got this right, is we copy that path hang on. Rename. Make sure we copy the whole thing. Copy. going to check. So underneath, we'll put the original back in. Okay. Right. If you're still with me and following along here, so basically we're going to do a copy, and we're going to copy that file. Now is the entire address of that file. Paste that in. Now, will it work? Well, it's not failed. Obviously, we're moving a fair bit of data here, so this will take a moment. So what it's doing, or should be doing, is actually copying, not the content to the SD card, it's copying the image file, which we've had to download and extract separately, and it's copying that across from the SD card to the eMMC flash storage. Now what that should mean is in a few moments when it's finished, it's not the fastest process. Okay, we're not crashed, it stopped blinking, but just give it a moment. It is doing something. As I said, it would have been nice to have got this in a way that's a bit more click and point friendly, if you know what I mean. So I got utterly distracted as on my main screen I've now got an activate Windows has appeared. I thought the version on the X1 was activated. Ah, how interesting. Does that mean this is going to stop working? The last thing I need is that. Should be alright. Trust me, everybody, it'll be worth the wait when this works. Let's see now. So while we're waiting for that, and I'm assuming this is okay, Dave, let's put in, just in the chat, so anyone wants to have a play with that ESP thing we were talking about. I'm going to just retype this. Okay, so the thing for the ESP we were talking about, the EP14, the Dave Paul Jones thing, is in the chat right now. So it's upass.duckdns.org. Do go and have a look at that if you want to have a little play. You are looking at a service or a site running entirely on an ESP32 microcontroller, which is really, really impressive. Yeah. What else are we going to do? I don't remember it being that long. Come on. Impatient. Right. We'll do something very exciting in a moment. I mean, something is going on. You can see the activity light is flashing, so it's doing something. We are copying. Data is being transferred. as we speak, so we'll give that a few more moments. This one, I could boot that back up. That one, I think, was running a sort of version of Raspbian, so it looked more like the Raspberry Pi OS at the time. Not everything on it worked, but because it was designed for the Broadcom ARM hardware, but these are all winner. But still, out of all the clone boards, oh, Dave's just saying someone is clicking the relay. Well, it's definitely not me. So someone's gone to have a look. What are the relays attached to, David? Are they just relays? Or are they actually doing something other than clicking? Just out of interest. Just so we know what we're clicking blindly. I'm laugh, but it is really cool what you're doing. And I'm working on something myself, as I said, for work. So I really do appreciate the effort that's gone into that. Just one dev board, nothing attached. Okay, so we can't destroy everything at Dave's house. There you are, Dave. Oh, so it was clicking it. Oh, hang on. Something's happened. Let's go back to thinking Bob. There we are. It's done something. Okay. So it's copied 7.2 gigabytes, 6.7 gigabyte copied. Okay. Right, so in theory, let's see if this works. So what we need to do is shut down. I don't have to turn on the coffee machine. Oh dear. Okay, we'll close that down. Just close these. Exit. Right. We'll shut down. Okay, and that'll go to test card in a minute, or colour bars. Come on, shut down. Are we there yet? Let's turn the power off. Okay, right. SD card is now out. Now, if this worked, and let's go back to, there we are, colour bars. Let's see if we boot back up. Did this work? Oh, hello. Now remember, when I did the original review, I turned this on and found nothing was loaded, so nothing happened. That's looking promising. And this is the one thing I really like about these boards, is the eMMC flash storage. Especially for now booting operating systems without the need for SD cards. Well, you need SD cards initially, but after you've done the initial installation, you can take the card out. Now, bearing in mind, this is a fresh install again, so it won't boot up particularly fast on the first boot, but it should speed up on the second, and it won't remember any of the settings that we had. So I'm going to have to put everything back in, install everything from scratch that we want to use on the system. While waiting for that, Dave Paul Jones just saying, just into C++ Arduino Core Microsoft Basic to integrate into ESP32. One thing I've been looking at is Circuit Python and There's a couple of basic interpreters for CircuitPython floating around. Now, CircuitPython is quite interesting because it actually compiles to machine code for a number of source platforms, including Raspberry Pi. And I'm trying to think, does it compile for ESP32? Because if it did, you could probably get something that's a little bit more powerful than the tiny basic that we've been playing with. And it's certainly something I want to look at. But actually written in Python. So a basic interpreter written in Python that runs bare metal on microcontrollers, or bare metal straight on an ARM Raspberry Pi, which would be very cool. Okay, and this always fails first time around. You have to do like a reboot. Just restart that. To see how quickly this will turn over now. So in the chat, the Imp67, I'd love a Pi with eMMC that boots directly into a basic variant. Yeah, I agree with you. And where we take advantage of the power of modern Pi hardware to offer sprites, network connectivity, etc. Python on bare metal Pi sounds rather cool. It does. And that's something I do want to look at, actually, because it might be kind of the next logical step for what we do with Tiny Basic on Project Rio. We might go there. I don't know. We'll see. Certainly thinking about it. I know. Do you remember? What's it called? Names are going like the Australian project that was doing the same thing we were. My friend Scott Julian from Australia, Brisbane, AlphaWorks. AlphaWorks did a basic interpreter originally using the same core. So lots of these core that's in Tiny Basic, my version of Tiny Basic in Project Rio, actually comes from the AlphaWorks core. And when I saw Scott, it's a while ago, when I saw him early in late summer, and basically he said, shock horror, I've taken my glasses off so I can't read anything. He said he was looking at using CircuitPython basic interpreters as opposed to the Arduino C interpreters I've been using and he was using. And I've started to kind of dabble around the edges with it, and I think it might actually have some huge benefits over the C-based Tiny Basic that we have been using. So it's definitely something I'm looking at. And also the ability to run bare metal on, as well as powerful microcontrollers, but also directly on Raspberry Pi. So all I can say is very much watch this space because, things might be happening. Anyway, right, where are we? Where are we, he says. There we are, I can see what I'm doing now. Okay. So the board that worked charm. Board's quite happily sitting there. And there we go. No SD card in, running straight off the eMMC flash storage. Boot time, not bad. And that is why I like Banana Pi. And that is why I was deeply disappointed that we didn't get eMMC live flash booting, if you like, on Raspberry Pi 5. They really, honest to God, missed the trick. I would have paid a bit more for that. To be forced to still boot off SD cards, especially in this day and age when every other Pi clone and single board computer alternative is running eMMC. The X1, running the Windows you're looking at right now, is basically running it Windows 11 off eMMC flash storage, 16 gig on that one, 8 gig here on this Banana Pi M4 Berry, and it's just the Raspberry Pi missed the trick, in all honesty. Just looking back in the chat, Dave Paul Jones says, I made my own interpreter for a scripting language used in my UPass main project. Did you see the Conquer system that I did a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago? That was a custom, not only just a custom scripting language, a bit like a C derivative. but it also had its own interface and API. That was pretty cool. But is that kind of a similar thing? I mean, I've modified basic interpreters. Can't say I've created my entire own programming language. Oh, excuse me. Always get the hiccups when I'm live streaming. It's terrible. Anyway, there we go. So that's something. So banana pie, yeah, it's all right. Whatever web, what a web browser? No, it's a web browser. You can't release a blooming image and not put a web browser on it. Seriously, it's just when I did that, I was like, "Oh, you are kidding me." It just seems a bit, because you've got this internet here, and you've got FileZilla, which is not stock standard. Putty. Got all sorts of things and no web browser. Why? It just seems slightly counterintuitive. This will break. This breaks on the other one. I don't think it's Banana Pie issue. I think it's a Ubuntu issue, because a few of the clones break when you try and install things. Yeah, I'm just looking for saying web browser up in menu. Yeah. The problem is you click it, there's nothing there. Right. There is no web browser. I mean, is that it? Remote desktop client. No, it's all right, Paul. No problem at all. No, we'd already done that. There's literally no web browser. Which did come up when I did the review. It's only an issue if you use the stock Banana Pie images. If you ran... oh, God, it's gone now. The name's gone. What's the... Debian that runs on all the clone boards? Oh no, I can think of it. I can't think of it. I've gone blank. It's Armbrian. That's it. Armbrian will have a web browser. You can apt get a browser. Yeah, I tried that. Try that again, actually. Oh, I did update. It updated. Wow. Yeah, I got Chromium running on the SD card. Can I remember how I did it now? Let me just quickly, while you stare at this blank screen or this desktop, let me just have a quick look. I'm thinking of a cup of tea coming on, Install Chrome. Install Chromium. Ubuntu. Install as Snap, which is yeah. Yep. So should be able to go sudo snap install Chromium. Hang on. knew I'd misspell banana. Ah, there we go. Yep, that should fix it. Now I've got Microsoft Edge not responding. Hopefully that's not about to bring down the entire stream. Looks like we're still going. Oh, you can hear the board whirring away. It's working hard on that one. Yeah, go away. Okay. Sorry, that was me X1 in Edge having a little moment there. Saying that, the whole I think this is going to take a moment. I might come back to that in a minute. As I say, it's not the fastest board, but it's all right. It's okay. It's not terrible. Just see if there's some other stuff that would run. Like if there's, I think there's like a few open non-Raspberry Pi versions of RetroPie. That would be quite cool. RetroPie would be very cool, especially if you could run it on eMMC, which you should be able to. That would be interesting, to say the least. So yeah, there's a few possibilities with Banana Pi, actually. And yeah, I look forward to doing kind of the same thing with the Zero form factor board that they're going to send. But yeah, I think out of all the clones, the ones that actually are like Pi clones, Banana Pi is definitely the strongest. I say that the Orange Pi 800 is brilliant. I really like that machine. I said I use it. I take it to work with me, and then it's used mainly for. It was the development machine for Tiny Basic, but I also use it obviously for driving the screen. One thing I was going to mention that I forgot about. I found this the other day, and I don't know what the issue is here. Right. I'm just wondering if I don't. Can I show you? Might be able to. Try trip over my own data cable. Right. I've had to turn the brightness on this monitor right down because it was just bleaching out on the camera for some reason. So it's really dark. It's proper dark, but it looks all right on screen. Let's just shut down this one a minute. I want to show you something. Okay. Right, the reason I need to shut this one down is I'm going to plug the Pi 5 back in. Take that off a moment. Okay, right. I wish they still had the springs for the SD cards. It could be much easier to get out. Pair of pliers, just take the card out. Okay, SD card, there we are. SD card is out of the 500. Okay, 500? 5. Raspberry Pi 5. Okay, adapter cable is in. HDMI, and we'll just pop this USB power supply in. Okay, that's now powered up. So, no SD card in the Raspberry Pi 5. Now, it has a small amount of firmware, but nothing else. Okay, it's gone off. Oh, I can barely see that, but basically, where's the remote for this? Just try and adjust that. Okay. So it's gone off the edges of the frame, but this is kind of like the kernel when it can't find a bootable image, right? And that's normal for most modern Pis. I think Pi 4 was the first to do it. So this is kind of like the firmware BIOS, which is all it can do without a SD card, right? The reason I'm showing you this is just so you can confirm that yes, you can see something does appear on the screen with Pi 5 plugged into this particular TV. Okay. We'll unplug. SD card back in. Stock standard Raspbian or Raspberry Pi OS. Latest version 64-bit for the Raspberry Pi 5. Try and get this back in now, which is going to be fun. Nope. God, I hate this. Okay, there we go. Okay. Micro SD card now in. Stock Raspberry Pi OS. Still plugged into the same HDMI lead that you saw on the screen. Now, sod's law, this will now work, but let's see if it does what it did to me before. So plugged in, power's on, fan turning. No signal. As far as I can tell, and I don't know if it's a firmware issue or if it's a Raspberry Pi OS issue, but the Pi 5s don't work without telly. And they actually don't work with a number of the older HDMI TVs that I have. Now, that television admittedly is about 12 years old, but it's still HDMI. Now, I don't know what version of HDMI, if it's the 1 point something or the 2 standard. A new thing to equally annoy me is that these damn boards don't work with even HDMI TVs. Not all HDMI TVs are equal. And that television has worked with pretty much everything. You've seen it running things like the Raspberry Pi, Orange Pi 800, and many other products and boards, and even older Pis that I've shown running on here. No problem at all. Including Banana Pi runs on this, no problem. Raspberry Pi 5? No. Doesn't want to know. And I'm just like, I've not adjusted any of the video settings. That is the stock video settings that come with the installation. And it doesn't work on every TV-based HDMI monitor. How annoyed and annoying can you get? And it just adds to the list of things of why I don't like Pi 5. Now, Pi 5 works fine for the capture card. It works fine on the little Maxit based displays. Remember I did a review on those? I got sent those by Andy Cine. And there's actually still products I use. So a lot of the stuff I get sent, I actually do use. As I said, if it was of interest to me, and I am going to use it, then it does appear here on the channel. So, yeah, that is really annoying that that doesn't work. So I'll just take the power out because I can't do anything else at the moment. Yes, so it'd be interesting to try another OS, but there aren't really any other OSs at the moment other than the stock Raspbian. Or I keep calling it Raspbian, it's Raspberry Pi OS, but we all know what I mean. Yeah, so that's a bit of a problem. I guess we'll turn that off for the moment. There we go. Right, in other news, ta-da! It did something. It said it couldn't. Communicate. If I pulled the right, it did something. It did that. I've had this before. Actually, I've had this before, you know. So let's do a shutdown, a complete cold restart. See if that fixes it. or if I ran over my own cable, which I could have done. Yeah, too much going on tonight. Right. Trying to think now. Yeah. One thing I will mention while I remember to talk about it is what's happening with the Project Rio Tiny Basic build. And actually, can I go back to my video earlier? Let me just flick along a minute. Right. I just want to show you something. Right. Now, you see that display? That was the Project Rio unit that was running. It's the one we built here during 8 till 8. And can you notice underneath the dialogue window, there's a bunch of text, more text than it should be. Because weirdly, it started throwing some kind of strange error, like it was picking up interference from a third-party source that was sitting on the RS-232 UART line. And it kept putting erroneous text on the screen. That used to be a bug that we had with the original Tiny Basic systems before we used the Pi and Pi GFX. Pi GFX has been very, very good at error checking until I took it to the show, where it started doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. It wasn't very stable. And basically, the point of me showing you that is we're getting into the sort of zone now where I'm thinking we're going to need a better build, if you like, a physically better hardware build than the one that we've done so far, just because this machine, let's skip back a bit, there we go, machine that you've seen me work on most nights we're live, isn't that reliable because we've already had the voltage issues because of using the original Pi 1, which has voltage regulation problems. And I'm just sort of thinking we are getting to a zone now where I want to use Pi 0 on it, and I also want to try a few other boards, that we kind of need to build a brand new prototype build, or brand new prototype board rather. So I am beginning to think that in the new year that might be something we could start doing, just because it's hampering software development when the hardware's crummy basically. And also it's a bit kind of it decides on and off when it wants to initialize the SD card. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And I don't know if it's a solder joint. Do you remember we dug around trying to rework the solder on it? And I think it is still a dodgy connection, which is just really annoying. So that's something that we do need to check and keep checking. But I think, honestly, a new build, brand new solder baseboard, basically getting nearer what we would use for a custom PCB, is kind of where I'm thinking of going with that. So yeah. But Banana Pie's doing something. I'd ask that to shut down. Once you get this shut down and restarted properly from a cold boot, it generally sorts itself out. Obviously, we're now running off the eMMC, not SD card. Okay, that worked. Little power switch on the side. Yeah, little power switch. Oh, there we go. We're doing a restart now. Oh, that's not the right image. Hello again, by the way. There we go. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. I appreciate there's some people who are just like not going to like this, regardless of what it is, just because it's not Raspberry Pi and it's a clone, it's from China, and people won't like it because of that. I'm more of an optimist. Right. Okay. Are we now connected? Can we try this again? Running a little bit faster, actually. If you notice, it's actually running a little bit faster. So let's try this again. What on earth does that mean? Your guess is good as mine on that. Right. Stop giving me jip. Shut down properly this time. What on earth does that mean? I'm just saying we'll look at the dashboard for the channel while I'm live streaming to you, because I'm normally, you know, total carnage. Oh, bless. 5 people have already liked this. I really do appreciate the likes. I don't feel I deserve them, really, but I really do appreciate it. Right, you know what? I'm just going to... You shouldn't do this, really. I'm just going to pull the power on this to make sure we actually do. There we are. Right. We're all happy that's now going to cold start. So when we reboot... we can break it. Good timing on that, Martin. Yes, we break it. Probably have broken it now. Oh no. Right. Wire connection. Terminal. Yeah. that old thing. Don't know. If anyone can tell me what on earth that is and how on earth we fix it, be very interested to know. That's not worked. Dave Paul Jones asks, been to Wellington lately? Wellington, which for those of you that don't know is Wellington Salop, not Wellington Somerset. That's up the road from me. No, I have not. What was the last time I went there? I think the last time I went there is the last time we talked about it, which was the market, which was a little while ago. If it's market day, sometimes I like going up to Wellington. Because they have a retro game / junk shop / market stand. Half it's always out in the open, so most stuff's like damp because it's just exposed to the shop. Doesn't have like a front. It's covered, but it doesn't have a front, so it's like outside. And I like that one. And then inside the main market, I've got like a model train Lego action figure collector stand stall as well, which is quite nice. Yeah, I like going to Wellington Market. I used to go to college in Telford, so Wellington was my local train station because I didn't drive, so I had to go from Shrewsbury to Wellington on the train every morning to go to college. That was some years ago. But no, I've not been recently. Probably won't be this side of Christmas, but yeah. Anyway, well, it sort of worked. It sort of worked, and it broke. I broke it. I think I'll reflash and try that again because clearly something went a bit wrong. Yeah. Oh well, we live and learn. I'll just remind you then, for those who are just joining late, these are the live stream dates proposed for the Christmas and New Year period. So the next one will be on Sunday the 24th of December. That's Christmas Eve. You can join me for some chat and some fun, and we'll probably do some video game type things. Probably I need to do the Wi-Fi Sheep Christmas content for the channel, which I have not done yet. You may have noticed there's no Christmas content. So I fully intend to get that sorted probably next week now, but I'll get that sorted. So, but those are the dates. So you can join me for Christmas Eve. You can join me for New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is always a bit of a laugh. And we'll be back for 8 till 8 on the 6th of January, all things being well. And I will probably, well, we've got so many projects to start, but we probably might look at scratch building a new Project Rio Mark II board, something like that. That's what I'm thinking. But anyone has any other cool ideas, do let me know. And I think at the time, we might finish a little bit early tonight. Got 9 minutes until, well, usually about 10:30 we say we call it a night. But I think now might be a good time, a good place to call it a night. So if you haven't done so already, please do consider like and subscribing to the channel. Members, well, there we are. There's members again. What I meant to say was Patreon. You can join at patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep. Really do appreciate everyone who does. Alternatively, YouTube channel members are there. You can join right here on YouTube and support me and Wi-Fi Sheep. Lots coming up on the channel, I promise you. Don't forget Wi-Fi Sheep Channel 2 at 2.wifisheep.co.uk. I'll take you through to Channel 2 on YouTube. I'm going to have the Farm Simulator video from last year's Christmas is going up online now. Getmon is saying he has to go. Catch up tomorrow. No worries, Getmon. We are literally calling it a day ourselves here, so you won't really have missed anything. Thank you so much for joining us. Been great to see you. In fact, great to see all of you that have joined us this evening and dipped in on the chat. Really, really great to have your company. Yeah, it's swung by, hasn't it, really? Yeah, so there we go. And hasn't this X1 performed well? Hasn't it just worked tonight? That is, if one thing that has gone well tonight with everything else that has gone wrong, it's the X1 for live streaming. Has done really, really well. I am really, really pleased with how well that's gone, actually. So, yeah, the next time we'll see each other is going to be Sunday for... Hang on, when did I say? I've forgotten. Sunday the 24th. So there'll be no live stream tomorrow. Next week on Saturday, we'll be here on Sunday the 24th. A little bit later, 9:30 GMT in the evening. So I hope you'll join me for that. Yeah, so all I can really say is thank you so much for your company once again. Hope you found this mildly entertaining, if nothing else. And I will see you real soon, right here on the channel. Until then, have a very good evening. Good night.